Hey everyone, it's Sarah here, the Sisters Enchanted, bringing you day 2 of our Magic of the Moon Phases class here in our Facebook group. So welcome to day 2. Yesterday on day 1, we talked about the moon phases. So we kind of went over some general good need to know information about the moon phases. You can find that replay over in the announcements section, which is at the top of this group, along with the participation thread from yesterday. And we will email out all the replays also at the end of the week. So remember, if you're watching this live, it says live on the screen. And if it does not say live, then you know you're on the replay. Hi Jamie, which is totally cool. You can still ask questions and interact on the replay. Just know we won't see it in real time. So that's all. If you are new or got started a little bit late here with us, I'm Sarah. I am one of the founders and the head magic maker here at the Sisters Enchanted. I'm a magical cruise director. What do you need to know about me? I've been reading tarot cards and reading up on all things magical for probably 17 years now, since I was a teenager. I'm in my 30s. And I went to school to be a teacher. I don't teach though. I do this. So I teach the magic instead of English, which is what I went to school for. So that's it. That's all I guess you need to know. I live in the U.S. with my 2 small kids. I have a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old. And yeah, so welcome. Hey Marina. I was just eating lunch right before I came to talk to you. So I think I have some broccoli in my teeth. Sorry. So yesterday, like I said, we talked about the moon phases. We went through a whole thing about the moon phases. So we are in a new moon right now. I do have little ones. My little boy turned 1 a week ago, and my daughter will be 4 in July. So it's, busy over here. Hey Amanda. So yeah, yesterday we talked about all of the different phases. We're in a new moon right now, new moon in Gemini. So that's an air sign. It could have to do with communication. I did mention yesterday, so I'm not going to dive back into the whole conversation again because you can rewatch the video from yesterday. But when you read a lot of the astrological forecasts, and you saw probably tons of like new moon rituals and things like that happening yesterday online or in your email or something, and those were all about a new moon in Taurus. And I did talk yesterday about how there's some debate over a new moon versus a dark moon. And so there's no right answer to that, but yesterday was technically, if you follow a dark moon practice, yesterday would have been the dark moon, and today would be the new moon, which is in Gemini. So like I said, no right or wrong. One's more mainstream. It's more mainstream to think of just the new moon. And then if you follow like a mainstream kind of pagan, or even like a Wiccan practice, or if you're neither of those, I don't really give myself a title, but I do like the idea of working with the dark moon. Then that would have been yesterday, and that would have been in Taurus, where today we're at a new moon in Gemini. So some food for thought. And if you're like, hey Sarah, what's all this mean? Rewatch yesterday's video, because there's a lot of good information in there about that. Hey Mindy, for everybody who's here, Mindy makes, oh, you can't see her. Where's my goddess? Where is she? Oh, she fell off the wall, Mindy. She's supposed to be right there. I hope she didn't break, which means she's behind this. But Mindy made, I don't know if you can't see this either. Mindy made me this. Ooh, isn't it amazing? I don't know if you can see it. It's a tree goddess. She's got all things around her, so I can't really take her off. And Mindy made this item here. She makes these amazing creations. But I have a black goddess wand that I just noticed is not where she's supposed to be. So, you know what? I wonder if my cat got up here last night, because my goddess is missing, and my cauldron was turned facing in, and it's pretty heavy. So I wonder if my cats were up here fighting my goddess. Anywho, I'll have to find her. Hope she's okay. So Amanda says, I felt really drawn to understand the dark moon because of my emotional poo. Yeah, the dark moon is definitely a good, I don't feel rejuvenated at all at the new moon. Some people are like, oh, the full moon makes me crazy. I can't sleep, all this stuff. That's me at the new moon. At the new moon, I have crazy dreams. moons, I'm just like, I just want to crawl in bed and go to sleep. I'm so tired. I'm never that tired. Hey, Beth. Yes, Scarlett. No, she's not supposed to be in here by herself because it's like a mess out here. But she may be. And then at the full moon, I feel like really like relaxed, but in a like motivated way. Like I'm like, oh, like my to-do list, bam, it's all gonna get done. It's gonna be great, and it doesn't bug me. Here at the new moon, I'm just like, there's so much expectations of me. So I'm more of a full moon gal myself, which is probably why I like the idea of the dark moon, to just like stop and not do anything. So yeah. All right. But check yesterday's video if you missed it and you're like, what are you talking about? The new moon and the dark moon. Watch that because we talked about it in there. So today in your email was this here, intention setting checklist. So Angela's had very vivid random dreams. Yeah, I hear that. Me too. See, I'm having coffee at noon because the new moon does that to me. Get no sleep. So Heidi, yeah, it makes me a little loco, right? See, I'm not the only one. We're all in good company here. Okay, so we're going to talk about setting intentions today, and what that looks like. So yesterday we talked about setting intentions with the new moon and working with that intention through a lunar cycle. So let's actually look at what that is. I talked briefly yesterday about solar goals versus intention setting, and what the difference is there. So solar goals are more, we'll talk about it again, are more masculine. These are like when you write a to-do list, that's more masculine, right? That's kind of masculine energy. And remember, we all have masculine and feminine energy within us. Bye, Beth. It was nice to see you. We all have masculine and feminine energy within us. We're not just like either feminine or masculine. We're both. We're the balance of light and dark. We're all of these things. There's two pieces to us. We have the left brain, right brain. Like this presents itself in a lot of different ways. So when we look at goal setting and working intentions with the moon, setting a goal, that is a more masculine task. That's like, like we're racing to get something done, like climbing the corporate ladder kind of thing. That's more masculine in nature. So your goals and your intentions, they can look similarly, but the difference between them is how we're going about them and like what the end result is. So a goal is really kind of like a to-do list thing that you are, I don't want to say mindlessly doing, because it's definitely not mindless. Like your goal could be to buy a house. That's not mindless. There's a lot of things you have to do with that. But it's more like you're not tying your emotions to it. It's just like a thing you're going to do. So if you're like, okay, we want to buy a new house next year. So like that's the thing you want to do. You want to buy a house. But when you make it an intention, your intention might be to find a house that feels like when you walk in the door, like your soul has lived there before. That would be an intention. You see the difference? So a goal might be to buy a house in 1 year. An intention might be to find the house that when you walk in the door, you're like, this is home. This is where I'm supposed to be. That's an intention. So those are two different things. So we have our more masculine energy there and our more feminine energy, our more black energy, our more white energy, the sun and the moon. So the solar part of that is like, I'm going to buy a house in 1 year. And I need to have X amount of dollars to do that. And to get that dollars, I'm going to work on my budget. I'm going to do all this stuff. Like that's the solar piece. And then the lunar piece of that is aligning yourself to what it's going to be like when it happens, what it's going to feel like your soul's response to this thing. We all have things that we need to do because we live in a material world and we're all humans, right? So like, unless you live in a city, you probably need a car to get around. You might live somewhere where you can ride a bike. But I would say the majority of us probably need transportation of some kind. So that's like kind of a thing that we need. A roof over our head, especially, if you have a family, like really you're like, okay, how am I going to transport two small kids? I probably need a car. There's these things that we have to have. Like we need to have income to pay for our electricity or our water bills or our food. For the majority of us here in our mainstream kind of society. And that's all really solar stuff. But when we start to look at these things and think, well, why do I want that? And how do I want to feel around it? Then we can make sure we're making choices that are really like lighting us up and making us live a life that feels amazing and not just like we're keeping up with the Joneses. So that's the difference between working with the moon to set an intention, excuse me, I'm all stuffy, or an intention-led goal versus just a solar goal. Like, I'm going to do this thing. I'm going to get this job and make this money or something. Like maybe like, how do you want to feel in the job that you're in? What kind of people do you want to work with? Do you want to, how do you want to feel when you sit down at your desk? That might contribute to the kind of place you want to work, where you apply. So these are all kind of the lunar things versus the solar things to think about. Let me just catch up on the comments here. You guys hear my little one? He just started screaming. So Desi skipped her ritual last night and is doing it tonight. Woke up energized and excited for the new cycle. Awesome. So Amanda too. Hi, Kate. You guys hear him? He's screaming really loud. Hey, Christina. So Amanda, just think solar equals physical work on it and lunar is emotional work on it. Yes, I like that. It's like solar is the things you're doing, and then the lunar piece is your emotional work around it. Where we see some overlap is at like the third quarter moon. That's an action oriented time, right? So we see that like we see ourselves doing something, because even if we are moving from a place of emotion and like spirit and soul in our decisions, we still have to do something to make these things happen for us. We can't just, it's in an ideal world, this whole law of attraction thing, we could just sit down and be like, I visualize myself living in a beautiful house that fits us and all these things. But, reality, we do have to do something to make this happen. Like we have to make something come to us by taking some action. So, all right. So here's what we're going to go through on the intention setting checklist here. And we're going to talk about some ways to set intentions. So Jenny tried to sit down last night and definitely needs the dark moon. Yeah. So work with the new moon tonight. Sherry is in too much pain to do anything right now, afraid to mess things up. Well, Sherry, I'm sorry to hear that, but really, I really believe that we can't mess anything up. Even if we talk about this in another class that we have about when we either meditate or pray or do spells or like law of attraction work or whatever that looks like for you, because I know we all are on a little bit, like we're all walking different paths here, whatever words you use to describe that. I find that when we work from a place of desperation, that's when, we don't get a whole lot of great stuff coming back to us. And that's what's so important in being grateful and trying to come from this like lunar kind of soul emotional place when we're doing our work. But I don't feel like you can mess anything up, because whatever we have to work through, it's going to bring us someplace better. Like we're going to grow from that. So don't be afraid to mess anything up, because I really don't believe you can mess anything up. All right, so here's some things to know about setting your intentions. The first thing I have on here is to set a baby step intention. Hi, Chrissy. And hi, Cinnamon. Set a baby step intention. So what I mean by this is to not bite off more than you can chew with an intention and to not mix that with a solar goal. So something like buying a house in a lunar cycle. I keep talking about houses, but something like buying a house in a lunar cycle, that is not a baby step intention. That's like a whole full-blown solar goal. So a baby step intention might be for you might be to feel like you want to feel confident in your ability to follow a budget at the end of the lunar cycle, or you want to feel comfortable knowing that your money is going to the very best places it can go at the end of a lunar cycle. Those would be intentions. So you're like working on the budget thing to move towards the house. If it's something around like health and wellness or weight, these are like just the big ones that people, ask about all the time, which is why I use these examples: health and wellness, money, houses, work, love. Those are all the big ones. Think of something small that you can do, and then think of how you want to feel around that small piece. If you set an intention for a lunar cycle, like for me, I live in a really small house, and it's lacking in closets and storage space. And like I mentioned, I have 2 small kids. So, and I have family members that love to buy them toys. So we basically live in a toy pile is basically what I live in, and a mountain of toys. And so for me to say like, okay, my intention for this lunar cycle is to feel like my whole house is organized, that would not be realistic, and I'm setting myself up for failure because it's just too much to do in one lunar cycle, considering how I still have to work, I still have to care for my kids, like we have obligations. It's not the only thing I can do for 20, 28, 29 days straight, right? I have to do other stuff. So what's a baby step intention, something that you can do? So in my case, like one that I think I might work on this lunar cycle would be to feel at home in my living space, to feel comfortable in my living space. So what can I do in our main living space to feel comfortable in my main living space? What can I do with that, right? And then that would be my baby step intention. So I think, hey, Annalena. So Sherry says, okay, I was told physical pain would interfere. It's good to know. No, I think that, so physical pain, and I don't know, obviously I don't know you. So, like I don't know you in person. But if you're having physical pain, you can certainly work with the energy around physical pain too, and your intentions. So if you are separating the thing that you want to bring into being from your physical pain, like kind of you're not trying to do something in, like, what's an example of this for physical pain? If you were having like if you had something wrong with your arm, like maybe you like did something to your shoulder or something like that, or if you have like endometriosis, or like, I'm just trying to think of physical pain things that I could think of. Wherever your physical pain is, as long as you're like, if you're sitting there and you're like, okay, my spell is to just, or my intention is just to relieve the physical pain. But if it's not something that you can necessarily relieve in a lunar cycle without, like there's a reason you're having it, then I would separate the two, right? But the pain shouldn't stop you from being able to bring anything into being that you want. That can be, pain too can be related to our chakra system and our energy system. That's like a whole other topic. But if you're having pain, depending on what that pain is, there is a theory that all of our pain has to do with our chakras and our energy system. And so something you could do is figure out like, okay, well, where's the pain? Where does that align to my chakra system? And then work on that area of your body. And you can even do that over a lunar cycle. But yeah, physical pain shouldn't stop you from doing what you hear a lot of things. Sorry, I got a phone call. I think it interrupted me. So I hear that about physical pain. I also hear about women who are pregnant, that people feel like you shouldn't read tarot cards, you shouldn't do spell work, anything like that. And for me, I feel like when you're doing something like spell work or tarot cards, I mean, it depends on your faith and your background, but to me, it's no different than praying. So, like, you wouldn't tell somebody not to pray when they're pregnant, in my opinion. But some people say because you can't get the unborn child, you can't get their permission, and so you shouldn't do energy work without permission. I mean, really, you're going to hear a lot of different opinions, and so my advice is always just to kind of feel into it and say, well, how does it feel for me? Does it feel good for me? Does it not feel good for me? And go from there. So Donna says pain can affect your ability to focus, or could it affect? It certainly could. If you're in, like, I don't know, I think about like when I was in labor, like I did like 30 hours of labor with my first kid unmedicated, and I used like hypnosis techniques to try to, stay focused. And I definitely wouldn't be like casting a money spell under those conditions because I wouldn't have been able to focus on it, but like, so I guess it depends on the kind of pain. But if you're setting a lunar intention, I feel like a kind of like a pain that you're experiencing where you're not like, in the hospital, like writhing pain, I feel like you could still set a lunar intention, likely if you're able to be home, and it shouldn't be a problem. But totally, like if you are suffering from menstrual cramps or something, that would likely not be the best time to be doing any kind of energy work, right? Because you're just like, I can't even focus on my energy. I'm suffering. So Stephanie says, so true, my back is killing me and I'm having financial trouble. So Sherry says, awesome, that helps a lot. Mine is an ovarian cyst. All right, there we go. I always I never want to ask, but like what kind of pain are we talking here? That's why there's like so many answers to all of these things. I'm like, well, I don't no. So my intention is actually totally different as long as I won't muddy things up. No, you should be good. I would think you should be good. If you can just, and you could even, like with the full moon, and so the working with the moon, that's really, sorry, I keep getting these voicemails. I'm actually waiting. My car, it smells like mold for no particular reason. Like we didn't do anything, and I'm waiting for the car dealership to call, and I keep seeing these things thinking it's them. Anywho, so you think about the moon, and you think about the process of like a woman conceiving and giving birth, right? So the moon, it grows like the female's belly would grow, right? And then at the full moon, we're fully cooked. And then we birth our thing into the world at the full moon, and then it shrinks back down again over time. And then you're available at the dark moon to start again. You're ready and fertile and ready to like bring back another thing. So especially if you are having different female things happening, that's a visual to kind of keep in mind with your like womb area, which can be really cool. A random side note there. So Chelsea, my other half is going through major life changes right now. My goal is to feel like I'm being as supportive as possible for him. Is that an intention when it's kind of for another person? Yeah, so I would say like you want to make sure you take care of yourself too. So you don't take care of yourself, you can't take care of other people. So maybe your intention would be to just create space for love for you and your significant other over the next lunar cycle. Like have the intention to be a vessel of love and support for your household. That might be it. So Christina, I love the fact that you always remind us to do what feels good for us because everyone is so different. Right, yes, feel your way through life. So yeah, that's what kind of, I find it really hard sometimes when people ask questions here in the group for advice for something, because my advice is always going to be like, how does it feel for you? What did you think? What are you thinking? I guess that's like my inner high school teacher, which is what I went to school for. Like, you tell me the answer. Because there's so many different ones. And if you ask a question like, should I do spell work when I'm in pain? You're probably going to get 10 different answers, if not more. Or should I do whatever? Like you're just gonna get so many different answers. And so I always say, like you're not hurting anybody, you're not gonna hurt yourself. So what do you think? What feels good for you? So hi Brenda. Yeah, watch the replay. Okay, so our first thing about setting intentions is to make a baby step intention, like something small and something manageable. Frame it in a positive light. Use positive language. How does that make you feel? Yes, exactly. So frame it in a positive light and use positive language. So if you're doing something like, if you're like, I'm not going to eat junk food anymore. Maybe you would say, I make the best possible food choices for my body. If you are like, my intention is to not argue with my spouse anymore. Maybe it's I communicate lovingly with those around me. So see, change it to something positive so that we're focusing our energy on the positive thing and we're not aligning our energy with more of the negative stuff. Because when we think of it, we don't want to think words like junk and argue, right? We want to think words like love and health. Like that's what we're going to think. So put those words in your mind. Christy says, my daughter's having a difficult time in school. So can I do something for her? I don't know how old your daughter is, but I would work with her on this too, especially as a young girl, to introduce her to these kinds of things. But you could certainly create space again for support, to support her. Or if you feel like, I don't know how old she is, but if you need to advocate for her at school in some way, maybe your intention is that you will be confident in your voice to be heard this lunar cycle, because that can be really tricky, being heard at a school for sure. That was my job before this, was advocating for kids and teaching them learning skills. So I know how hard that is. Something like that though, maybe. So Heather is literally writing about positive thoughts and words right now in your notebook. Yes. So Chrissy, she's 10 years old with special needs. Yeah, so I would probably, because at 10 with special needs, you're probably having to advocate for her at school. So maybe like something around yourself being able to do that and feel confident in doing it, having the energy to do it, because that can be really, that's really straining on the mother for sure. So Adelina said she had her son plant flowers in a mason jar. As soon as they grew, he'd be feeling better in school. I love that. Yeah, incorporate your kids into this stuff for sure. So Brenda says, always been told your words are your wand. Yes, make sure they're positive, not negative. Truth. Preach it. Okay, so another thing, the next thing I have on here is to feel the intention in your body and how it will feel once it comes into being. So this can be really hard for people to do, and I hear this a lot, that people struggle with this like feeling part, and I do too sometimes. But the idea is that you're gonna like kind of put on the hat as if you already own it. Like you're going to put yourself into your future self. So if your intention is to be the mother of a child who's fully supported at school, what does that look like for you? Does it look like happiness when you pick them up from school? Are you able to come home and enjoy family time because your kid's not upset? Like what does it look like? And kind of like put yourself into that suit, if you will, like zip it up and try it on and see, feel those emotions, see yourself laughing with your family, see yourself in the car pickup lane, like excited to hear about school. Like really paint the picture in your mind and like try that on and see how it feels for you. And, sometimes when I do this, it's a little weird. Like I find myself kind of like I'm talking to myself or like I'm actually like moving my body, like I'm doing something, but it's helpful to see yourself having that thing happen, and being where you want to be. So like kind of just like even by yourself, just sit there and like play it out kind of, like how does it look? How does that look? How does it feel? What are we going to do? Visualize it happening, thinking about it as if it's already happened. Hey, Emma. So that's part of that same thing, like trying on that thing that you want to have happen. Try it on, visualize it like it's happened, and talk about it like it's already happened. So instead of saying like, when my kid is fully supported at school, we're going to say my kid is fully supported at school and we have an amazing time when we get home together or something like that. Like it is happening, not when, not if, it is happening. It's happening right now. I do this all the time. So I said I'm an oversharer. I have 2 small kids, and I have a husband who's not super helpful in the small kids department. And so we're having some struggles around that. And I say to myself all the time, I live in a supportive home. I am fully and totally supported. I'm supported in all ways. I live in a loving, peaceful home. Even though I don't feel like that a lot of the time, I say it, I keep telling myself. And over the last few months, I've definitely noticed, as I've been focusing on this for a little bit now, I've noticed big changes in this area. And I had somebody, it's not my husband or with my kids, but I had somebody actually reach out and volunteer to help me with some back-end business stuff, like getting systems in order, things that I should have done a while ago and never did. And it's typically like a super expensive service. And he came in with this like offer because he's starting a business, and it's just totally out of the blue. And now I'm like so supported in that area. I'm actually like so supported that it's kind of making me feel weird, like that I have a boss or something, which I don't, but it's kind of making me feel like I have one. That's how supported I am. And then I was able to hire on an assistant, Nikki, who helps us out with things, our magical support person. And like, so support is popping up in all different ways. I have a babysitter 2 days a week for a few hours. It's actually my mom, but I pay her to babysit. She only comes a couple hours twice a week, but that's a big help. So while my support might not be showing up in the way I thought that like I was thinking it would show up, my support is showing up in all different ways. Yeah, hey Nikki. The support is coming to me in other ways, right? So just keep that just keep it positive and in the present. I am fully supported. I feel fully supported, and I visualize, what does it feel like? What does my life look like when I'm fully supported? And I might not be getting it from my husband, who is like what I would have thought, but I am calling it in other ways, which is creating space for me to fix this other stuff, right? So that's why it's really important to just focus on like how you want to feel in your life, and then let the chips fall into place if you can. But yeah, so let's see here. So Brenda, I try to feel the emotions. Yes, exactly. Like really live it up. I gave the example yesterday about a money spell I did, and my sister and I did it just kind of like for fun on a Friday night. Literally, that's what happened. We were like, let's cast a money spell. And we got real witchy with it. We like turned the lights off. We lit all these candles. We cast a circle. We even we like found the correct points of north, south, east, and west and everything. And we like went to town on it, which we don't typically like do this much effort. But we did that. And so anyway, but I really felt like I felt so excited. I visualized so strongly that I was like pumped to get this money, and like so much money came my way. It's like unexpectedly. It was amazing. So yeah, really feel those emotions. Yeah, setting intentions using positive affirmations. Yeah, that's what I do. So April, I love that. No expectations. Allow it to be as it is from wherever it comes. Yes. And it can be really hard to let go of those expectations too, right? Because I would expect my husband to be that support. But, you know, if in the meantime, I have all this amazing support that's come my way. So I'm super lucky for that and grateful. Tracy, are you saying that this every day at a certain time or when it comes to you? Yeah, we're going to talk about this. Do I have it on the list? Oh, I have it on the list. So we're going to talk about that right next. But yeah, you can say it whenever it comes to you. Like my support thing, this is something that I just work on all the time. Whenever I feel myself wanting to like kick somebody or scream or yell or be like, nobody's listening and nobody's helping me. Instead of doing that, I just say, I am fully supported in every way. I am fully supported and it feels amazing. I'm so grateful for the support that I have. And don't get me wrong, I'm not perfect, right? I don't live some perfect fantasy life. I'm doing all these same things. And it takes like, it's an adjustment to go from I am gonna like slap a person to I'm fully supported. It's definitely an adjustment. But once the more you do it, it really is life-changing. It's so life-changing. But yeah, so we'll talk about whether it's just any time or at a certain time of the day, but you can definitely do it anytime. So Chelsea says, thanks for that idea, because I feel like I'm all alone sometimes with 3 kids. I need some support in a lot of ways. Yes, go for it. I'm telling you. Back in September, like my son, he was 1 just last week. And back in September, I remember at the time my husband was working. He no longer works. He's a stay-at-home dad, which I say lightly, but he does stay home. And he came home one day, and I was just in tears, in this puddle of tears. Like, I'm suffering. I'm like really, really suffering. And so from September till now it's May, so it's not overnight. But from September till now, like I said, in these few months of working this intention. And now I have the babysitter, it's my mom, but I pay her. I pay her well to come here and babysit. I live in a pretty expensive area, so to get a sitter was going to cost me quite a bit of money per hour for 2 kids. And so I like pitched my mom at $5 under that. It's like, you want to come babysit? So so I pay my mom 2 days a week, and then we brought on a magical support person here at Sisters Enchanted. Plus I had this guy like come out of nowhere offering to help me with stuff, which is amazing. That I never would have expected. But so from September till May, I mean, that is a hefty time period, but keep at it. Chelsea, I'll be sure to recognize, be grateful for whatever support I get. Yeah, definitely. Jenny, I adopted the whole, it's just another way of thinking. Yes. Yeah, I like to say things aren't wrong, they're different. That's something we say a lot in my house too. You're not wrong. It's not wrong. It's different. Okay. So Tracy's question about time. So spend time each day connecting to that feeling. And speaking of time, I gotta check and see what time it is, because I got another call at 1 o'clock. Spend time each day. So if you can, set aside a specific time each and every day. Oh, it's only 12:30, where you can actually sit with your thoughts. So whether you write this down on a piece of paper, you just make yourself like a quiet, like kind of magical space so that you create a lunar altar. You have a prayer space, a yoga space, a meditation space, a quiet place to go on a walk, whatever that is. If you can, spend time each day where there's something to remind you of this intention. Like either you wrote it down, you have a picture of what you want your life to look like, something that makes you feel the way you want to feel, some kind of tangible representation of this thing. Spend some time every day, if you can, sitting with that and just focusing on it, and really focus on what that's going to be like. Now, for me, as I've said, I have 2 small kids. I do the Sisters Enchanted here. This is my business also, and I take care of my house and all this stuff. And so for me, finding time to sit down and do this every day is not always happening. But what I do is I'll keep physical reminders of my intentions kind of scattered throughout the house, like right in my bathroom, and right by the kitchen sink, and right by the coffee pot. And this way, like, I'm kind of triggered to see the things throughout the day, and then think about all, my intention, whatever that is. And then I can say it over and over and over again. And now I've been working on this support one for so long that I just now I just say it. So at this point, like, it's so ingrained in me that if I would recommend to somebody else, okay, well, so what's the next part of your intention? Let's shift and start working on that, because this has become part of me, that when I'm irritated and I'm feeling very not supported, I just say to myself, I'm fully supported. I'm supported in expected and unexpected ways. I'm supported all the time. And I just say these things. So now might be a good time to layer on another layer of that, add on another layer. So Stephanie, can you maybe do a class on journaling, having a hard time and want to do it so bad? Yeah, people have asked me that before. So I do have some tips for journaling. We'll do a little tangent here real quick. Yeah, so one of the things that I do, actually up until I had my son a year ago, I journaled every single morning. And then when he was born, I kind of fell off the wagon a little bit, and I still try to write like at least a sentence down in a positive way if I can. But I used to do it every single day. And you can write about, if you're journaling for intentions, you can sit down and just write about the thing that you want to have happen as if it's happening or it did happen. Like if you say, like for us, one of the things we would like to do is either do some upgrades on our own house or move, because we do have a tiny house and we're like real packed in here, and our house needs a ton of work. And so for me, what I would do is I would write down like, I love waking up and having coffee in my kitchen, and I feel relaxed when I step in there, and I would just write all about it. And it does take, and I did that for probably a year, and then we were able to do updates on our kitchen. And so, but for like a year, I wrote about that all the time. So you can write it like a story. You can write like as much detail as you want. Sometimes I would write things like for money, how much money I received, even if I didn't receive it, like how much I would wanted to receive. So I'd say I received X amount of dollars, and I used this much money to pay this. I used this much to pay this. I put this much in savings, and I would really write it like as if I was doing it. So that's kind of a good place to start for that. So Amanda's been doing this at night at bath time, but this intention calls for starting the day with a reminder of my desire and a strengthening of willpower. You can also type reminders in your phone, so they pop up on your phone first thing in the morning or like different times throughout the day. So Desi wants to make a spell jar to move around the house so I don't forget. Yeah, one thing that I do, again, because I do have such a small house, is I use just like a salad plate, the small dinner plates, and I put like a little altar on that, and then I can move it wherever I am. A spell jar does the same thing. So yeah, so you could do it like in a spell jar. You could do like what I do, because I'll put like a jar on it with like flowers or money in the jar, or like whatever in the jar, and then maybe like a card or something written down, and like I'll put it on one of those little salad plates so it can sit right on top of my stove, or I can move it in the bathroom, or like my bedroom, and I can just move it around the house. So Brenda, I'm really good at manifesting for myself. Is it possible to manifest for others? That's a good question. So the trick with manifesting for others is that this is one thing, like I said, you're going to get a lot of different opinions. So this is my opinion. You never know what somebody's intentions are, right? And where their energy is. So if we set the intention, like I have some family members that could really use like a leg up financially. So if I was like, my intention is to manifest money, like that this person will have this money. But those same family members that I have, and this isn't the case for everybody, but how am I to know like why they don't have their money? I really don't know why they don't have any money. I mean, I don't see like there was no like, dramatic illness or something like that. Like, so anyway, let me get back to my point here. I'm trying to like make my family members seem nice. So they have no money, right? And I would want them to have money and have this leg up. But if I was like, all right, I want them to have $10,000. How do I know that they're not going to get that $10,000 and then it's just gone tomorrow and they're in the same boat that they're in? What would be better is for you to manifest enough for yourself to help them, to say like, I have enough money. I make enough money that I can pay my aunt's medical bills. I make enough money that I can pay off my sister's student loans. I make enough money that I can pay off my parents' mortgage. Like that's what you want to, in my opinion, that's what I would do. I would focus on, I make enough money that I can build the addition on the preschool. Like whatever your thing is, I make enough money that I can do this. I earn enough money. I receive enough money that I can do this gratefully, selflessly, you know, even anonymously. I can do this anonymously if I want to. Don't even have to tell anybody. So it doesn't have to be about you. Like I earn enough, I receive enough, I'm open to receiving enough that I can do this. I think the trouble with calling in stuff for other people is it might not be what they need. Like, and I think of money because that's what people, usually when I get this question, people ask me about money. And so if I, you know, like I have an aunt, who could really use some like help financially. I also know that same aunt has like does very little to attempt to get a job. And still somehow whatever random money she gets her hands on will like, she's not like a drunk, but she'll like buy a bottle of wine and I'm like, you should probably pay your electric bill. So me like manifesting money for her, I don't know that it would actually do her any good. Like she'd live a little higher for the next month or so, but then she's gonna be right back where she is. So a better thing maybe would be for me to manifest like maybe I could work on manifesting like somebody who specializes in helping women like my aunt get started with a job. I don't know what that would look like, but I think you see the point. Like I manifest the right support or the right relationships that would allow me to support my family members. There we go. There's the wording for that. I have the right I have relationships with people that allow me to change the lives of people around me. And then we have like these connections and we can help set them up. So maybe that's what you should manifest. Sorry, I'm so stuffy. I don't know if it's allergies or a head cold, but my kids have runny noses. And so I'm hoping that's not what I have as a cold. I also hope it's not allergies, but anyway. So Jamie, do I ever set intentions on your birthday? Yeah, for sure. Do that. So Amanda, mine is coming up in a couple weeks, so I'm going to set a year-long one. I love that. I don't know what it will be this time, but I'm thinking on it. Perfect. I need to blow my nose. So Tracy, I feel real resistance and feel like I'm sabotaging myself because I have no real follow-through. That if you've not worked with lunar cycles before, use the tracker that was in yesterday's printable and start tracking. And it's okay, you know, sometimes like that happens. I am not perfect. Believe me, I'm not perfect. We have a monthly membership program here at the Sisters Enchanted, and we're working on having other people host challenges in there because I am so bad at following through with them. I'm like, we're going to do a 20-day challenge. And then day 3, I'm like, I'm not doing it anymore. So somebody else is going to host it. Like we're going to volunteers do it. So you're not alone, but you know, if you start with lunar tracking, you might be able to see like where in the cycle you drop off and see where your energy goes during that time. But just be easy on yourself. It takes time to adjust. So Jenny uses sugar to sweeten myself in the morning. Didn't realize cinnamon was not the best idea for a passionate personality. Yeah. See, I use cinnamon and honey together. And so I'm like, maybe they're balancing each other out. Yeah, hooray for spring stuffiness, right? I'm hoping that's all it is. Amazon day 5 of your 21-day challenge and life showed up. Exactly. That's why like I find myself, it's like 9 o'clock at night and I'm like, oh yeah, I didn't do the challenge for today. So volunteers to the rescue. But yeah, release your guilt too. That's really important. Okay. We talked about this stuff. Oh, right. Taking steps to make it happen and show the universe you're ready to receive. So this could be part of that follow through piece. Actually doing something to make your intention happen. So for me with the support piece, I was really resistant to getting a babysitter. I was so resistant to it for being supported, right? I was super duper resistant to it. And I felt resistance to it because, you know, I do have my husband who's home during the day. So I was like, why do I need to pay for a babysitter? Right? My husband's home. So I was really, really resistant, and I pushed on this for months. And then finally I just let go of expectation, and I released that resistance, and I was like, that's an expectation I'm having on somebody else. We shouldn't have expectations on other people. And I finally was like, all right, like, let's pay a babysitter to come over. And so release the resistance and then do something. So I did something to be fully supported. So I got the babysitter that was supporting me. And then after I did that, this guy who's helping me with my business, like set all my back end business stuff up, who would normally charge a fortune for this kind of service, is just like volunteered. He actually volunteered once, and I rejected him because I was like, I don't need you to mansplain me how to run my business. And then we emailed, and I like pretty much said that to him without saying mansplaining in an email. And then he wrote me back. He's like, oh, okay, so I see you know all these things. You just need help implementing them. And I was like, yes, I do. And he was like, all right, that's good. We can do this. And so then I got support in that way. And then I realized I like did some number crunching. And I was like, I could totally hire on a magical support person. But it was like a domino effect. I finally let go of this resistance and this expectation. And I was able to, and I did an action to bring support in, even though it wasn't what I wanted. I took action, and then like dominoes, all this other support has just been falling into place for me. So which is awesome. So take steps, and that's that first quarter moon piece again. We talked about that yesterday. So if you missed yesterday's video, go back to that. And then the last thing here on your sheet, this is from the email today, is feel free to release the intention or change it up if you feel like you need to. So another question I get a lot from people is, you know, you'd be like, oh, it's not actually what I wanted. It isn't actually the thing I wanted to do. I don't think it's right for me. You know, feel free to release it. You don't have to, just because you set an intention at a new moon does not mean that you're like locked into that thing and you're stuck with it for life. You can certainly just be like, you know, that wasn't right for me. I'm going to either start fresh at the full moon, like I'll try something new for the last 2 weeks of the lunar cycle, or I'll wait until the next, I need to blow my nose, or I'll wait until the next new moon, the whole next lunar cycle, and I'll start there. You can definitely release your intention. Don't feel like just because you said it that you're stuck with it and you're married to it. You can change it, you can adjust it, you can always pivot. It's your energy, it's your intention. You know, there's nothing holding you to it. Let's see here. So I finished my doula contract and client information forms yesterday. I think sometimes I just have to get out of my head and follow through. I think the next couple of days I'll reach out a couple of birthing centers, see if they need any admin help. Awesome. It's hard to have a steady income when you're basically on call 24/7. Yeah, I believe that for sure. And lunar tracking is super helpful. Yeah. Even just tracking mood or motivation each day. Exactly. Yeah, I track pretty much like I track my mood. I track like my mood, and then kind of how like our family dynamic was, and then I track my movement if I did anything like healthy for my body moving wise, drank water if I journaled, and my menstrual cycle, I track that. And then sometimes like weather related stuff, because I notice that I'm largely impacted by weather. If we have like 4 rainy days in a row, I am a very unhappy person on that 4th day. If we have all sunny days, it seems like I can handle pretty much anything you throw my way. But you throw me a bunch of crap on a rainy day, and I'm really I'm gonna be in a corner, like telling myself I'm fully supported, trying to survive. So thank you for that. Yes, I need to release my resistance on the expectations I have for my family. I'll tell you, it's not easy. You're not alone. I promise you that. Surrender and let it happen. Hi, Jackie. Chelsea had these expectations of what family should be like and how they should support me. And when things don't go as I expect, it gives me such an ugly feeling, and releasing it. I hear you. It's not easy. It's not easy. You're not alone. Like I said, you're totally not alone. But you know, one step at a time, right? I had to really release that grip on like, but why am I paying somebody to be here, right? When I technically shouldn't, like, I have somebody to be here. I had to really release that grip. It was really hard. My husband stopped working in September, and I started having my mom babysit the last week of March, and then we were away for 2 weeks in April. So really, like, it's really only been like a month, I would say, like steady, that she's come over here twice a week, 4 hours each day. And so it took from basically September, October, November, December, January, February, March. What's that? 7 months it took me to let go of that. So Stephanie changes things all the time based on what feels right. Yes. Jenny, not sure how I'm going to word this month's intention. I'll have so much extra money in my account and more time for life by not smoking. Yeah, you could have more. Yes, I would say that. I would say like that I feel free. I feel so free with all the cash I got laying around. Or just say, like, I have spare time and spare cash. I have spare time and spare cash. Just, you could say it like that, and then every time you want to smoke, I have spare time and spare cash. I have spare time and spare cash. I have spare time and spare cash. I remember I was talking about this with somebody yesterday. I know who's our doula in here. When I was preparing for my natural childbirth that ended up completely the opposite of that. I did this whole like birthing a flower visualization, and I just remember being like in labor, like really in labor, and just being like, I'm not dying. You can always fall back on that, Jenny. I'm not dying. It worked, kind of. Heather, I found even tracking my son's sleeping habits and moods with the moon and weather really helps me support him. Yeah, your kids, definitely. If you like I said, I track my family dynamics. So, but tracking your kids can be helpful, and having them like work with you on that too. So Stephanie says she's impacted by weather as well. Happy and cool rainy weather, and not so good on hot days. So live in the wrong country, South Africa. Ha ha ha. I'm all about the sunshine. It can be chilly, but as long as that sun's shining. And when it's gray, it just really brings me down. I can tell a difference right away in my emotional state. I just see the raindrops on the forecast, and I'm like, ugh, somebody rescue me. Nikki needs to release expectations of my coworkers, organizational skills, and ability to put things away at my muggle job. Nikki, I hope you're not referencing my organizational skills. I'm just kidding. I'm a hot mess and I know it. Amanda, Jenny Ray, I'll be doing so great with lots of, you know what? Stephanie, energized in stormy weather. Thunderstorms make me so happy. Oh, you guys, where I live, we don't get like big thunderstorms usually. And we had one last night roll through here that like tore down trees. The people in the news were like, get in your basements. There's going to be golf ball hail. And we're all over here like, what? That doesn't happen here. It wasn't. Well, where I am, it wasn't that bad. But some parts near me, the trees came down. Miranda, would the moon phase have something to do with why my cycle is messed up? I am 6 days late and have taken home tests and blood tests came back negative. I'm lost right now. It could. So your menstrual cycle. I'm not an expert. This isn't my area of expertise, but. I know that we are impacted for sure by different environmental things around us too. And stress in your own body. So if there are environmental things impacting you, plus like emotional stressors and things like that, that would take us out of sync of our own cycle, which would be lined up in some way to a lunar cycle. So I would maybe look at those things around you. Love rain. Nikki, the muggle job I'm trying to be saved from. You guys with the rain. Give me a sunny day any day. Yeah, you guys. Not going to be hanging out with you on a cold rainy day. Heather, rainy days have always been my favorite. But since we moved into this house, rainy days stress me out because there's a foundation issue. Oh yeah, we get water in our basement. Yeah, well, I'm a Sagittarius, and I forget what it's called, but I have all this fire like in one part of my astrological chart. And so the fact that I can't like get outside and just like get to life if I want to, or do what, it makes me feel claustrophobic. Like I feel so claustrophobic if I can't. And I mean, I know I can go outside in the rain, obviously, like I understand that, but the idea that I can't just walk out the door in what I'm wearing and without thinking about it and like do what I want to do, I feel really claustrophobic. And I don't know if it's just, or if like the wet and like I'm so fire energized. I need to talk to somebody about this. Just occurred to me. Maybe I'm so fiery that like the rain and the water like threatens me in some way. That might be it. That is something. I'm having a spiritual epiphany right here live. Maybe that's what it is, because the rain makes me feel so like I'm crawling in my skin and I need to get out and do something. Oh, thank you, Alicia, for thinking about us. Yeah, we never get like tornado warnings and stuff, and our cell phones were going off with all these tornado alerts, and they were like, get in your basement and away from the windows and the golf ball hail, and like the trees are coming down, and we were just like, is this serious? Do we really have to go in the basement? We were such losers about it. We're like, that seems weird. So we get hurricanes here because I live right by the ocean, but you get a week's notice on a hurricane, so like we board everything up and bunker down, but we're not used to just like a flash telling us to get in the basement. That's not what we're used to. So it was different, but my house came unscathed. Like 10 minutes up the street, there's a bunch of trees come down. So let's see here. Yeah, now there's my sunshine people and need human and nature interaction. Yep. So maybe you guys, yes, I need to be outside. Exactly. It kills me. I feel that way when it's dark at 4 p.m. Got interrupted by a phone call again. And Amanda, we get so many storms and warnings. I just roll over and keep sleeping or carry lawn chairs and cameras outside. Mother Nature is a bit upset this year's snow. Yeah, Mother Nature's been crazy. Any hoodles. Oh, hi, Andrea's cat. Okay, well, I'm going to let you guys go for today because I got to call the car dealership and I got another thing I got to jump onto. But so that was it today, intention setting. So think about those intentions, and I will put a thread in the group today, and maybe I will ask you, maybe I might change it, but yesterday I asked what your intention was. Maybe today I'll ask you what your positive statement around your intention is. Maybe that's what we'll do. Let me think of it as I type it out, but I'll put it in there so that you can write it up and then be entered to win a reading from us. So April, should we focus on one intention at a time? I do like one at a time until it becomes like part of your being, where it's just part of you and you're living that intention, and then you can add on to it. Because think of your energy. If you're like shooting energy out everywhere, it's going nowhere. Focus on one thing. All right, so that's it. I'm gonna go. I'll put the thread in the group for you, and I hope you guys have an enchanted rest of your day, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks for being here. I'll see you tomorrow, same time. Bye.